to the main event.
Hey, thanks for joining us here at Garage Boxing. Kevin Breen, joined by Rob Ernster.
Good to be here as always.
So let's get right to business. We've got the definite date set. The date and the weight is set. It's at the MGM Grand and of course Las Vegas, November 14th. Manny Pacquiao, Miguel Cotto, the super fight in 2009, 145. Like I said, we want to get some reactions. We know that what we think. And then I think.
What do you guys think of the weight? Some people will say, why not just do it at 147 where it means something? I mean, what's 2 pounds?
2 pounds, yeah. What's 2 pounds? I think he ought it, but again, I think that's part of the strategy that Freddie Roach has is to, have
like a mind game strategy.
Mind game, money, that's involved. It's like who has the upper hand?
Anyways.
He's a 2-to-1 favorite Pacquiao. So. God, now that that's set, because there was a little bit talk of maybe a Mayweather upset. He cancels, pays off Marquez, but they're fighting, of course, September 19th, also in Las Vegas, and we'll get to that. But again, just confirm the positions that were taken. I see Manny Pacquiao winning that fight and being not an easy fight for him, but definitely a victory.
So how do you see it? I mean, you see him winning, you see him knocking him out, you see him middle round stoppage. I mean, what do you
see a late
predicting?
At this point, I see a late stoppage. I don't see any reason why there wouldn't be.
Now, is it a 10-round fight
or decision?
Do we know if it's 10 or 12 rounds?
It's championship. Yeah, it's 12 rounds. So I mean,
it's for an actual belt then.
Well, no, but I mean, I think that's what boxing is. I mean.
Yeah, these catch weights are kind of the new niche of the boxing world. For whatever reason, I don't know why they just didn't go to 147. I mean, both guys are smaller welterweights anyways. Let them put on a pound or two. They're going to come in heavier anyways. It's not like he's going to weigh 145 when he gets in the ring that night. When I first heard about the fight, I had predicted Pacquiao, but I watched a few of Cotto fights recently. And honestly, I think he has trouble with guys with some reach and some good movement. Pacquiao's got the movement. He doesn't have the reach, although he hops in a lot. So
what about the ring rust, the Margachito? Love that phrase.
Margachito. You heard it here first.
No, actually, I picked that up from somebody. But
well, I heard it from him first. How's that?
But it's like, is he the same Cotto? Because I think you talk about a prime Cotto, prime Pacquiao. I don't know.
Yeah, well, Cotto's great at going to the body. I think obviously Pacquiao hasn't really had a real fight in his last 3 fights. He moved up in weight, blew through Diaz, a human punching bag, Del Hoya, didn't throw any punches back.
He retired, was basically a retired fighter, and then
so he beat 3 guys without getting punched once in the body or the face. I'm starting to believe in Cotto like I used to. He's still the same Cotto that beat Mosley, who I think is the best welterweight, or one of the best.
Well, the best or not. I mean, either he is or isn't. I mean, because it's either Cotto, Pacquiao, or Mosley. I mean, some people say,
Cotto beat a guy that I think would beat Pacquiao and Shane Mosley.
Paul Williams just is a guy who breaks all the barriers, but
he can't get a fight, so we're never gonna.
But back to this fight, Pacquiao Cotto. You're thinking that maybe Cotto has more of a better chance, and you still see a Pacquiao victory, or you see a Cotto victory? Tell me now.
Well, when I first heard their fight, I was going Pacquiao just because I thought Cotto was, maybe not as aggressive as he used to be, but he's been fighting tough guys. I mean, Clottey, he'd give Pacquiao a run for his money. I don't even know if Pacquiao could hurt that guy. He's like I said, a piece of steel. I like Cotto. He's a slow starter, so in my opinion, if it goes past 4 rounds, which I hope it does, I like Cotto. I think he's got more of a game plan. I think he's able to switch styles. I think he goes to the body a lot and the head, and he's just a more well-rounded fighter. Pacquiao's had some quick knockouts, and he's beat up on some guys that don't hit back.
Yeah, and
you know what? Here's the guy at 145 hitting you in the side. Are you gonna take it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the weight takes the having to come down that weight. Although I don't know. I mean, if
it's kind of a natural way for both of them.
Yeah, I mean, Cotto's really has fought more of his last recent fights at 147, of course.
He's always been the smaller guy.
And he comes in heavier, so what does he do now? Is he going to come in? I don't know that he's going to be a guy that just makes that 145 and then comes in at 160 or something. I mean, he's going to, this is the biggest fight of his life. And not really the biggest fight of Pacquiao's life. That was probably the De La Hoya fight. But the thing is are the boxing gods in looking down on Cotto? Hey, you had
who's earned it?
You had this guy beat you up, and you almost you were in there close against Margarito, and he loaded his gloves, and now this is your big break to beat the biggest guy at 145, 147, whatever. I mean, I can see that happening. I mean, that's kind of like boxing, the boxing gods looking down on the karma. There is what I think about when I see. But I don't know. I just think even if Manny's prior to those fights that we were talking about, he's fought in some not wars, but like the Morales fights and
the Marquez,
Marquez,
Barrera.
He's it's not like he's always been on easy street or something. Some might say that Michael Jennings is easy street, but I mean, that's tune-up fights. I mean, even this middleweight tournament that's coming up has these tune-up fights beforehand, but and everybody has them. But definitely want to see. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of people who are loyal to Manny and who are loyal to.
He's great.
Yeah. Great. The thing is where do we go? We always circle back to this. Where do we go for the next biggest fight? Because now you got Andre Berto, who is like kind of Andre Berto and Mosley, and they, like I said, almost fought, and that was almost set up in the past, and now, Berto be fighting a champion, favorite champion in Turkey
for more money,
for more cash, and would you blame him for not doing that?
Finding an easier guy to make more money. I mean, who wouldn't take that fight?
So I think you've got to have either Mosley, take less money, and HBO, take less money.
But I want to see Mosley fight. I would imagine most people want to see Mosley fight because he's got the respect. He's earned the paydays.
Yeah.
He shows up and he gives 110%. He doesn't fight in spurts like Berto. He's got a lot of talent, but
Clottey, just a different level. I mean, but
again,
maybe Berto, if he beats up
Mosley,
they're
A- fighters where Mosley's an A+ fighter.
Yeah. If Mosley beats Berto, or Berto beats Mosley, obviously that would launch him, versus
it would. Anyone that beats Mosley.
Taking more money and fighing, in Turkey. But, again, I don't know. We'll just see what happens there.
Well,
and
you got guys.
I think, despite that, I think, the loaded division. Paul again circles back to Paul Williams. That it's like I would see Shane Mosley and Paul Williams as a great fight, and I want to see that fight. And there's a couple of matchups that I'd like to see with Paul Williams, but let's get it done.
Those are my top two welterweights, Mosley and Williams. Those are that's who I think are the best two welterweights. What do you guys think, or who do you think are the top two welterweights out there? Like, what's your opinion on that? I think Williams and Mosley are by far the top two.
And of course, a lot of people will say, what about Mayweather? And I think even though he's
put him up against those two, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be in there for a lot of people. He's probably still pound for pound the favorite for a lot of people.
We'll certainly find out.
Well, yeah, let us know. I mean,